We have completed all the 5-marker questions under material cost control, that is economic order quantity as well as stock levels. We have solved that in the previous videos. Now today we'll be beginning with our 15 marks questions, right? The topic is pricing of material issues, under which we have 4 methods to be solving. Number 1 is FIFO method, which is first in first out. Second, we have LIFO method, which is last in first out method. And next we have simple average and weighted average. So under this category, we have 4 different methods to be solving. Today we'll be solving only 2 methods, FIFO as well as LIFO. Now, firstly, I want you to understand the format of these methods, right? So firstly, when you're starting with the solution, you will write in the heading under which method are you solving the question, okay? Whether it's FIFO, LIFO, simple average, or even weighted average. So the format is like this. You have 4 different columns. The first one is date. The second one is receipts. Next is issues. And next is balance. So 4 different columns. Now the next 3 columns will have columns called as quantity, per unit, amount. Okay, that remain common: quantity, per unit, and amount. So this format will remain same common for all the 4 methods of pricing issues. Got it? Now today, as we look into the question of the first question under where we have seen transaction for the month of March, a couple of transactions over here, right? And they've asked us to solve under FIFO as well as LIFO method. So let's begin with the solution. So the transaction starts on March 4th, okay, where it says about receipts. Now I want you to understand what is receipts means. The company has purchased raw materials, okay, that is, it has received goods or received number of units of raw material. That is called as receipts. What is issue? Issue is when you're issuing to your customer, that is when you are selling your goods. So goods are moving out of your factory. Receipts is goods are coming into your factory. Issues are goods are moving out of your factory. And so for every day, you will want to know the balance as per that particular date. Clear? So the first transaction, March 4th, it says received goods 200 units at the rate 4. So you will directly write under quantity how many units? 200. At what rate? 2 rupees. So you will multiply 200 into 2, 400. And is there an issue on that particular day? No. So keep it nil. Move on to the balance. Whatever you have received, straight away write it over in the balance. 200 units at the rate 2, amount is 400. The next transaction happens on March 10th. Again, the company has received the goods. How many units? Again, 200 units at the rate 2.4 rupees 480. And when you're writing the balance for the second date, remember, you have to write or carry down the previous day's balance. Okay, what is the previous day's balance? 200 to 400. Carry it forward. Then you write down 10th March balance 200, 2.4, 480 rupees. Right? Hope you understood how to write the balances. First, carry forward what is before date, okay, and then write the present day's balance. The next date happens on 15th of March, where it is 200. Okay, the question is telling you issued 250 units. That's all. Not mentioning you at what price or how you should issue. Since the question states that solve the question under FIFO and LIFO, and we have taken out the first in first out first, we will start selling the units based on FIFO method. Number 1. So when you're selling on the FIFO method, the pricing of those materials also will be accordingly. How? So 250 units I have to sell. So first thing, before I sell, I need to check my balance. Do I really have 250 units in my stock? Check the previous day's balance. I have two different stock. Stock 1 and stock 2. How much I should sell? 250. How much do I have in stock 1? Only 200. So sell the complete first stock. 200 at the rate to 400. So I'm supposed to sell 250. In the first stock, I have sold 200. What is the balance? 50 units. 250 minus 200 is 50 units. Where will I get that stock from? Does the stock 1 exist? No, we have completely sold it over here. Therefore, I will move to the second stock, which is called as first in, first out. The first stock that came in will go out first. Okay, the remaining 50 units I'll be taking from the second stock. So 50 at the rate 2.4 will give me 120 rupees. So the balance as on March 15th is, does the stock 1 exist? No. Does the stock 2 exist? But how much? 200 minus 50 is 150. So 150 multiplied by 2.4, I will get 360 rupees. Next, we have the transaction on 18th where the company has again received goods. That is 250 units at the rate 2.6 multiply, you will get 650 units. Next, how do I write the balance for that particular date? First, check your previous balance. 150, 2.4, 360. Carry forward as it is. Next, write today's balance. 250 at the rate 2.6, 650 rupees. The last transaction for the company happens on 20th of March. What have they done? They have issued goods. How many units? 200. So the question only mentions issued 200 units. From which stock depends on the method we are following, and the pricing of those goods also depends upon the method we are following. So again, check your previous balance. How much we are supposed to issue? 200 units of goods. Now, do we have 200 in the first stock? No, we only have 150. Issue the entire stock. 150 at the rate 2.4, 360. How much is the balance now? 200 goods we need to sell, out of which we have sold 150. The remaining 50 units I will be taking from the next stock. Okay, so from 250 I will be taking 50 units at the rate 2.6. I will get the answer 130 rupees. So how do I write the balance over here? Does my first stock exist? No. So I'm not going to write it because I have sold it completely. Does my second stock exist here? Yes, but how much? There are 250 units mentioned, out of which I have sold 50 units. So 250 minus 50, 200 units. So 200 units at the rate 2.6, 520. So whenever you are writing receipts, issue or balance, please multiply the values correctly. Okay, the number of units with the quantity or with the per unit rate, multiply it correctly. So we have entered all the transaction for the question from March 4th to 20th. So we have to write after each question the closing stock. So the closing stock as on the last date 20th March is 200 units at the rate 2.6 per unit. So hope you understood the concept of FIFO and also how to calculate it. Right, so moving on to the next method, that is last in first out method. Again, the format, right, everything remains the same. Let's just move on with the transaction. The first transaction happens on March of 1st where they have received the goods 200 units at the rate to 400. So write in the receipts column and carry forward the same in the balance column. Next transaction is March 10th where again the company has received the goods 200 units at the rate 2.4, which comes up to 480. So carry forward the balance, but first refer to the previous balance, carry forward the balance 200 to 400, then write the present day's balance 200 at the rate 2.4, 480 rupees. Next transaction happens from March 15. Now whether FIFO or LIFO, unless there is an issue, can you observe these two dates? Okay, unless there is an issue, LIFO or FIFO, these two transaction appears the same. Okay, if you can observe. When does the difference arise? The differences arises only when there is last in first out, because as the method says, the last stock that is moved into the factory will move out first. Okay, so let's see how the issue happens. On March 15th, the company has decided to issue 250 units. Now let's see the pricing. Now let's first look at the stock. So since we are dealing with last in first out, let's look at the last stock, not the first, the last stock. Do we have 250 units? No, we only have 200. Issue the entire stock, that is 200 at the rate 2.4, 480 rupees completely. So this stock is gone. Next, the leftover stock is 200 to 400. Out of this, the remaining 50 units have to be issued, because what is the total units to be issued? 250, out of which we have issued 200. So the balance 50 will be taken from the next stock. So 50 multiplied by 2. 2 is the rate given here. Okay. So be careful when you're writing down the rates over here. Accordingly, whatever the stock is priced at, you have to copy down only that value. If you mess around with the wrong per unit rates, your answer will turn out to be wrong. Okay, so be careful when you're writing down the per unit rate in the issue column. So 15 to 2, 100 rupees. So what is the balance as on 15th of March? Does this stock exist? Yes. Okay, always when you're writing the balance, guys, always go in chronological order. Whether FIFO, LIFO, any method, go in a chronological order. Okay, so let's see, does the first stock exist? Yes, right? Because out of 200 units, I only have issued 50. So 200 minus 50, 150 units. So 150 at the rate to 300 rupees. Does this stock exist? No, we have completely issued over here. So we are not writing the balance. Clear? Only if the stock is unsold, it will come in the balance. If the stock is sold out, it does not appear in the balance column. Next stock or next transaction happens on 18th March, where they have again received the goods, units 250 at the rate 2.6 multiplied, we get the answer 650 rupees. So how do you write the balance? First check your previous day's balance. So that is 150 to 300, carry forward as it is, and then write today's balance 250 at the rate 2.6, 650 rupees. Even when you're writing balances, be careful, okay? You'll write it as in a chronological order. Next, the last transaction happens on 20th, where company is issuing 200 units of goods. So now listen, we are solving LIFO method. Let's look at the stock, the last stock. Does the last stock have 200 units of goods? Yes. In fact, it has more than 200. Therefore, I'm going to issue from the last stock 200 at the rate 2.6 comes up to 520 rupees. So how do I write the balance? First balance 152 to 300. We have not sold it, so write it as it is. 150 to 300. The next balance is 250 units, out of which we have issued 200 units. So 250 minus 200, 50 units. Okay, so 50 at the rate 2.6 will get the answer 130 rupees. Clear? So here we are getting the closing stock as on March 20th of March is two different stocks. Okay, one stock is quantity of 150 units at the rate 2 rupees per unit, and the second stock is 50 units at the rate 2.6 per unit. Okay, so hope both the concept very important, a 15 marker sure question either on FIFO, either on LIFO. Okay, hope the concept and the calculation part is clear. So I want you to remember how and when you're going to price this issue based on the method you're following, and be careful when you're carrying forward the balances. Go in a chronological order. Okay, so with this we complete the first question.